leader and lead urban planner Smart City Jabalpur. So nothing much to say about him because we all know him very well. I would love to call him on stage and I want a huge round of applause for Mr. Sanjay Shrivastava.
Discussion with, first of all, my regards to my senior and elder brother, Prashant Dada. With your blessings and permission, I would request you to allow me to talk to this August gathering for a few minutes. Thank you, Chairman, Indian Institute of Architects, Bhopal chapter, and the Indian Institute of Interior Designers, Bhopal. Vinay and Mayuri. Thank you very much for calling me here. This session is not going to last very long, a few minutes, and we will then have a discussion. It will be a discussion with three or four of our very valued people who are working in the field of smart cities. There is a small sad note. Mr. S.S. Rajput, IFS, who was associated with the Smart City Controlling and Development Director here in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, could not join us here today, though he wanted to, because his friend, Mr. Rajput, I must say, is an ex-MSCTN Manat student from 2 or 3 batches after my batch. His friend and close colleague is suffering from cancer and was in dire state today, so he chose to miss this occasion and spend some time with them. So a word of prayer from our behalf for Mr. Pateria's health, who is also from our same institute. The initial part of this presentation will relate to what Mr. Rajput would have wanted to share with you. We will tell you what is the vision of the smart city by the Government of India, and then I'll step down and we'll take inputs from Architect Prashant Kirmatkar, Mr. Kushwa, and Mr. Subhashish Banerjee regarding the various viewpoints that we see from the fields. So, the Smart City Mission, as we know, was launched on the 25th of June. 100 cities have been identified in 4 rounds, and you'll be happy to know that 3 of the cities from Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal, Jabalpur, and Indore were in the first 20 list. That by itself was a good thing. Shillong was the last city that was identified, and in 95 of the cities have been found, SPC have been found, the special purpose vehicle has been found, and 70% of the cities have got their consultancy teams in position. It took about 18 months to set up the consultancy teams in place and prepare detailed project reports. The total number of projects under smart cities were 5,110, and they are costing 2,05,000 crores. About 35,000 crore rupees worth of projects have been and this needs to be put. And there are not many projects which are, and every day we are adding 300 or 400, 500 crores of projects which are getting tendered and all. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So, what we're trying to cover in this is what would be smart in the case of a city, and what are the directions in which the smart city measures are proposed, and what kind of funds are available, and how is the planning. So I've told you that the funds that are available is 2,05,000 crores. However, the seed that is being contributed by the Government of India is only around 200 crore rupees or 100 crore rupees per annum kind of a fund for the smart city. So next slide, please. The government did not prescribe any particular model to be adopted by the smart cities. One size fits all approach was specifically shunned, and the cities were encouraged to formulate their own concept, vision, mission for a smart city benefiting the local context and resources. Now this was the vision, this was the main idea. But what has happened was that the government did prescribe a template. Can you go to the next slide, please? Right? Now these were the 16 essential features of the Smart City Plan, SCP as we just call it. We'll quickly run through this. Assured electricity, and 10% of it will be through solar power, because it was believed that we need a smart electrical supply system or a service for the city. Adequate water supply, we all know this is very crucial and critical. Sanitation, including waste management, rainwater harvesting, and smart metering. Services management, services provision, equitable distribution of the goods. Next, please. Then, what is the current fad? Is robust IT connectivity and digitalization, pedestrian-friendly pathways, encouragement to non-motorized traffic, walking and cycling. Now, this is the area in which I am going to talk about in further detail, and this is going to raise some hackles amongst you people, because I will be talking about why we need to be doing away with motorized transport and moving towards bicycle. I can assure that I know that none of you have today come on a bicycle, and why in the future many of you would be moving around if the planners like me are doing their jobs correctly. Non-vehicle. Then we come to the next point, is smart parking, efficient street lighting, innovative use of open spaces, enforcement-free public areas, and this we know this is what we want to do. So next please. So these are the 16 features. Next slide please. The cities were required to add more to this basic list of 16 in order to improve their proposal. In the case of redevelopment of greenfield models, 80% were required to be energy efficient and green buildings. Now this is what was the given context. And in the greenfield housing development, 15%, which is not a normal case, we provided for the slum rehabilitation and slum redevelopment. And proposal to be both area-based development and pan-city development. Now this is a loaded word. See, if we go back and look at the history of town planning, urban planning and development, could we remove one of the lights, because I am not able to see. Please, sorry. This concept of, can we go back please? Can we go back please? Last slide. Proposal of to be based area-based development. So it was said that we must. Now this is the seed of what is going to happen and what you will very soon see happening around you. Planning that was done initially in Madhya Pradesh and elsewhere in the country took a holistic view of the city, and you would not have heard of water logging and planning of roads, which were able to cater for 20 years or so. So they were holistic and comprehensive plans. They were not tools of political action. They were not tools which were driven by political agenda. Now yes, politics drive the development, but planning was developing or coming up from the basics and the realities of the plans, or the planning community, planning philosophy. The ethos of planning was the seed at all development plans. However, good, bad or ugly, or we will go back and criticize what our plans are, but we all know in our hearts there were some defects because times changed and our needs changed. But what we have not learned is that most of our after the first plan, most of our approaches were focused plan, because we wanted to see results faster than they could come through planning. Though we had 5-year plans and then repeat 5-year plans and repeat 5-year plans, there was never any plan which would go across, span across, carry across. This carrying across of the plans was left to administrators, not planners. So even today we were discussing, and I was pulling one of my friend's legs, that planners have often been selected to be in the part of the administrative community, but have always been left out, because they have never been seen as being something who are realistic and playing to the reality of the moment. This playing to the reality of the moment is what leads to issues that we see in our cities today. We'll come to those issues also. So we'll go forward. In this we talk about area-based development plan and pan-city movement. So we really do not know what is what, but we hope that this covers everything. It covers all the issues. Okay. So for the first time in the country, now this is, I'm putting forward to you what was the vision of the thinkers who came up with the smart city mission. Now this was not that it came with this last regiment of political change. Actually these are all thoughts which continue to develop on the sidelines, and then they suddenly surface up when a political body sees that okay, this has now become very urgent and necessary. So one of the projects is command and control centers, and these are being attempted for the first time in the country, and most of the other projects are slightly innovative. And a notable feature that was required was dovetailing and coordination between various departments. Next slide, please. There is a quick view of the value of projects planned in the city of Jabalpur, where I served as a team leader and lead urban planner. I would like to put before this board that I've just put in my papers and moved on. Next, please. Next slide, please. So we have around 70 projects. You can move on. I've not bothered to type down the entire list, but you'll find that all the 16 areas are covered. So next slide, please, quick. Next 2 slides will be going quickly. This was my monitoring sheet. Can we go move the next slide? And the next slide, please. Right. So the value of project plan was 3,183 crores. Grant was 1,000 crores over a given period of time. The PPP, public-private participation, was 1,425 crores. Loan was 0. Convergence through other schemes. I'll explain in a minute what are the other schemes. And there were other areas which would be coming through, 111 crores, 3,183 crores. Then this is huge amount of money. And this is going to go into some pan-city projects. And this is going to go into one area of, let us say, 2 or 3 square kilometers. Next, please. Next slide, please. The convergent scheme from the Swachh Bharat mission, we are well aware of this. The Atal mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation, the heritage city development and augmentation yojana, called the Hriday, short form. Digital India, we are well aware of that. Education, training and skill development, we know Skill India mission. Housing for all through Madhya Pradesh Housing Board in Madhya Pradesh. And public-private participation, which is a common tool that when we are not able to resource public fund, government agencies, then we go to the market and we try to source fund from it. So these are the convergence. We want to see convergence of these schemes. Yes, please. We shall explore only one area in this talk, and that is pedestrian and cycle. By the way, this is the Leonardo da Vinci's bicycle which he had made, and that's the model which somebody tried to convert it into a model in this. So pedestrian and cycle tracks. Next slide, please. Now, I'm giving you what ought to be done. This is the best model that we have before the world. This is the Amsterdam model, this is known as. And the Dutch are known proponents of a bicycle city, a city where you can bike. Now what we have here is, and you can see this, and this will just take a minute, and I hope this is okay, because it would be evidently clear to all of you that we have, if there is a left turning vehicle, this stops here. And therefore when it stops here, it sees the bicycles right up to this point. So one of the problems that was found was that when you put a bicycle beside a car, the bicycle and the car stop next to each other. And then what happens is that the driver, when he starts, and the bicycle person when he starts, the car moves faster and they will have a tendency to collide at the junction. Now this gives the bicycle lineup additional time to cross over, and the junction has almost conflict-free over a period of time. When I say conflict-free, it does not mean that the car will not be using the space occupied by the bicycle. What I mean is that it is conflict-free because there is a time duration which plays out in that. So this is the model we have. So I've explained this, and this slide is also available. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yes. So this is, we have got bike-friendly signals, we have got forward stop bars, we have got traffic island and setback bicycle crossing. Can we come to the previous slide, please? Please go back by one slide. I would like to address to the person. Where is he sitting? Okay. Can you go move back to one slide, please? Because you'll be moving very fast. पीछे ले लो up arrow से. Chalo, we'll let it go. Then move to the next slide, please. I would like to refer here that these are the TED Talks. There is no point in me going over and trying to prove to you. All of these are TED Talks. Okay, we've come back. These are the talks which will tell you as to how a bicycle mode of transport can be better. It is known that the bicycle track for a city just cost 5 to 6% of the road cost. When you build a road infrastructure, if it costs you 100 rupees, the bicycle track will cost you only 5 to 6 rupees. That is only 5 to 6%. So, and 25 to 30% of the city traffic can be moved on bicycles. I will say that this may be true of European countries where the weather is cool. And it would not hold true of a country like India, which has got temperate and hot and very warm climate. Now this is not true, because if we have 6 to 9 months of hot weather here, we have 9 months of extremely cold weather in a city like Toronto, Canada, and other parts of Europe. They cannot fight with cold. They have got no measures to stop cold, but you have got shading measures. How will you adopt these in the city of Bhopal? What is relevant is that how do we adopt this cycle track, and which is not existing, and it is not part of our current city plan. We have got bicycle lanes which are part of the motorized traffic lanes. And in Jabalpur, we were building, my company had proposed roads which had a bicycle lane and a motorized. So I had a big discussion on this. I said, I want you to identify certain roads in the city which will be dedicated exclusively, and let there be no mixing up. Because this kind of an Amsterdam model where you have the segregation running across the road is fine, and we would like to, on major highways when you cross, we can adopt this. But for large chunks, we should be having dedicated bicycle lanes. So you identify one road, and if you look at the traffic density studies, and I've personally done it for the city of Jaipur, and I'm doing it for the city of Bhopal, it is possible for you to adopt and find roads which can be dedicated bicycle lanes, and you can adopt roads which are dedicated motorized. So this segregation is available. It makes it safer for the way we drive, for the way I drive, for the way probably you also drive. And at junction we can use the resolution. The other theory is that how long distance you can walk. And the book says that you can walk around 2 kilometers. But the reality is that you can walk 4 to 5 kilometers. When you have an isolated road which is available for pedestrians, it is possible for me to put creepers, it is possible for me to do shading, because the road width is not very large, and the bicycle occupies a small space, and it is possible for me to shade it. The moment you do that, it becomes an all-weather road, and biking becomes an all-weather road. So a fresh thought is required to me, which is what was the purpose of the original Smart City document. But what has happened is that when the project took off, there was a time limit which was given. Who sets the time limit? We as administrators set those time limits. And then you have identified agencies who can do it. The agencies that have been identified had people, structure. They were MBAs, managers, they were, wastewater treatment specialists, they were power specialists, and therefore there were also planners. So a lot of input was required, no doubt. But when you look at the percentage, the planning input was 3%. So every time a 3% input person was trying to fight and say that these are the key things which the city needs to address so that the city structure can be changed. This does not happen because the time limit was 21 days or 30 days, and you make the plan and you submit the plan, because if you don't submit it before the deadline, you miss the first 20 days. So an artificial timeline without understanding how much time is required for planning and thinking through a city structure. People like Prashant, Subhashish and all who have been dedicating about 10, 20, 30, 40 years of doing urban planning know that even with their immense amount of exposure and knowledge and understanding of the city, if they were up to do a city plan within a period of 21 days, they would not be able to address all the issues. It's not possible. So this is where the city plans got became a compilation of photocopy projects, an assembly of projects. An assembly or a list of projects is not a plan. It is a disjointed list of projects and actions which suits our MBAs, because these are things that you need to do. That's not plan which Mr. Kanane would have made, right? The erstwhile director or additional director of town plan. That's not the plan which Prashant Dada would have made or Subhashish would make now. That's not the kind of urban planning that is done. So an assembly of projects is not a plan, is what I am saying. And this is where we are going. We'll move to 2 slides now. We'll jump to 2 slides. Next please. Next please. And next. So this is the list of projects, and I'm giving it here. And I'm sure that Vinay will be able to distribute this. You can go through this, and when you click to one and subscribe to it, the entire list will be available. So I'm not bothered to type the remaining few lists. Next please. So this is what I was talking about. We have got 8 months of hot weather, and places like Toronto, Canada have a reverse problem of 8 months of very cold climate. It is more inclement and difficult to bike in cold and frost with street fields of snow and ice. That's not a problem. We only need to create shade, and there is plenty of it. Yet cycling has become an alternate means of transport and is greatly cutting down motorized vehicle trips. This is not being done. It can be done, and it should be done, subject that more people like us start raising the voice. And I'm sure that platforms like this and others are going to pick it up. Next, please. In the context of Bhopal and Jabalpur, it is necessary to carry out. So what is it that we are required to do? We have to carry out vehicle density. Now this is not vehicle density studies which we normally undertake. This is vehicle density traffic, natural flow of traffic on a certain road and a natural flow of traffic on the other road, which means that the natural preference of a certain road for connecting New Bhopal to Old Bhopal, for connecting the BHEL side to the bus stand or the old bus stand side, you understand that these are the natural motorized arteries. And you understand that the others are less. So the less important ones you pick up, you do a star connection, and then to connect these stars, there are 8 km of circle here and an 8 km of circle there, and then to connect these stars, maybe you run parallel to this road, the main arterial road, and link up, and then the city. Now 8 kilometers means from the center you are going 4 kilometers either way. 4 to 5 kilometers you can ride to your office, and 4 to 5 kilometers. And when I talk this, I am speaking from personal experience. See, while I was working in Reliance, I had gone up to 102 kgs. And after retirement, I started doing a little bit of walking. I lost 6-8 kgs, but now I'm biking. And I find that if I did 60 or 59, if I can ride 5 to 6 kilometers without any issue in a city like Thane, which is one of the most populous city of India, and I can easily handle it, I'm sure that anybody in the city would be able to. What with 20 cigarettes a day smoking under the other's guidance. So we go to the next place. Next slide. In Jabalpur, we identified the back lanes and redeveloping these as a network. This happily was accepted. And are redeveloping these as a network of walkable streets which connect to the Omti Nala. So what we did was that we said, look, people are not ready to leave motorized roads. The administration was not happy. This is nonsense. So converting a road, we have been talking about converting the old city area in Bhopal into a pedestrian zone for, I think, more than 25 years now. But we've not done it. It's not happened. The old city area, that market, where we have this Jama Masjid, was to be converted in the first plan, and the proposal was always there that it will become a pedestrianized area. But we have not moved forward. Why? Because people are loath to give up roads, because that's the way we have got to think that the motorized road is the best route. But, so we said that, okay, there is this Nala, Omti Nala, which overflows. So the entire city wanted that the Omti Nala has to be treated, and that what? So it had a natural flow. It was the natural drain of the city. And this is a very simple solution. It's a no-brainer. We said that, okay, this runs 5-6 kilometers across the city, and it covers the densest part of the city. So the Nala was built on it. When I joined, the proposal of Nala going on was there. Then we introduced we said that the top of the drain will be converted into a non-motorized transport section, and on either side we will develop it. Now fortunately this was all leased land in that part of the city, but even if it was not, there were a lot of residual spaces which were eroding due to this nala. And the city of Jabalpur used to get inundated with rainwater overflowing and going back into their drains and going back into their open drains and going back into their toilets and houses because of this problem. So channelizing it, increasing the slope. So there is a lot of engineering, but very simple decision, and this has been done. So this has been accepted, it is now under implementation. The Nala part is done. We have already started with the commencement of the non-motorized transport section, coating and other things. Next please. What we have done is that we have added, we said that if we have concentrated, the area was selected, and I am not saying that it was incorrectly selected, but yes, there can always be questions to that. But what we said was that whatever was the area identified, the rest of the city should be able to walk to that area or ride to that area. And this happened to be just my luck that it was strategically located right in the middle. And most of the cities after that, when I see, you will find that when you develop, you know that this is going to be the flood line of the drainage line of the city. So those are available. But what is happening is that because of the piecemeal development happening in the past, as one of my planner friends, Mashood Raza Khan, was telling me, that we have started closing in on the nalas. We have started building shops on the nalas, and we have started putting columns on the nalas. Now this has actually eroded the functionality that we wanted, or we could have driven for that. But whatever has happened has happened, but what going forward we can do is that you will find that this will give you connectivity to a major commercial areas and residential. And it's very simple, it's probably a 7 days job that can be done. Right? The primary objective was to increase the recognition and not enter into conflicts of administration or get into an issue that we have to notify this as a pedestrian street, people believing that this will lead to loss of business or opportunity of commercialization and so on and so forth. So those conflicts have to be handled. So we go to the next slide please. The objective was, the first step objective, and this is a very modest objective, was that we increase the recognition of walking and cycling in transport planning, design and infrastructure provision, provide safe infrastructure for pedestrians and cyclists, and mainstream resources for cycling, walking and cycling in agencies, financial planning. Now this does not happen. For example, I will tell you that all that is required is a one sentence that henceforth all plans of the colonies that we approve as from the town planning department shall have all roads. When I submit a plan of 20 acres and when Vinay submits a plan of another 10 acres adjoining and somebody else submits a plan of another 20 acres, the town planning office coordinates all the roads. Correct? So that's the job that they do. So all that Sanjay or Vinay or somebody else has to do is to identify that this is my cycle route. Or what the authority has to say is that because this area has to be developed, there would be a cycle road which is going like this. And then everybody has to incorporate. If that is done, this problem will get solved. So this requires a little bit of a reverse direction from. Otherwise the activity is the same. And develop and adopt the universal design standards. Now this is nothing great. All those standards are available, I have shown to you, and hundreds of them have been implemented and successfully proven. So all the difficulties, there is no great engineering required in this. And then we say, improve regulation and enforcement to enhance the safety. So scooters should not go into this, bikes should be discouraged to go onto the motorized road, which happens with a period of time. There will be some violation, but over a period of a year or two, it will slip into place. Next slide, please. And that's it. This is the section. This was the larger section that we took. It is still a part section of the road, one section. Can we jump to the next slide, please? This is the zoom in of the section. This was land use, etc. Can we jump to the next slide, please? We jump into the next slide, please, and we say that, okay, so this was the channelized drain, and this is the non-motorized road, and there is this land which is available, and you see that there is land which is exact. This is the backyard of this one, a lot of filled with dump and garbage and everything. And we go to the next slide, please. And we say that this is the view, and it's possible to do this. And I'm not saying that everything is going to get green. Some of it will get green. More of it is getting green than what we had visualized. Right? Thanks to now, once the administration picks it up, it does it with a gut, so it does it with an enthusiasm, which people like me, are always suspect to lose that, okay, only so much will probably be done. Go to the next slide, please. And so on. So this is just an animation, but largely, of course, you will not get an orange kind of or a reddish kind of a plant tree, but something close to that. So we tried to do it with a little bit of landscape also, and can move on. Next slide, please. So and at the end of it, I've just put in the 100 smart cities list. So next, please. This is the list of the 100 smart cities that have been designed. And next, please. So that's 10. Thank you very much for your patience. And I will now bring this down to the floor for interaction of my seniors and friends and colleagues. And they will share with you what has been their experience in making. So Prashant Khirvatkar, who is a senior architect and planner, has had the honor of working or being awarded 4 smart city projects. So he'll tell us a little bit about, Dada, can I have your opinion about, we would like to start with you, please. So what was your experience of working? And we would like a honest discussion. And I'll put the chair. Yes, please. Come, please. That will be definitely. And you need to open it because you see, I have just said that you have done this job, right? So I have done it in a small part, you have done it 4 times, 8 times bigger than me. Right? In the end, Subhashish is going to come in. I will be requesting Pushpa to give us a counter viewpoint to all that. A counter viewpoint is very necessary because it opens up the width of the argument, right? So we need that. We also, and I would be requesting him to be a little critical about it, right? Without being personal about it. And being critical about it, see, critical about people like me and Prashant.
Hello, I am Prashant Khirvatkar, an architect, urban designer for the last about 40 years. In the Smart City project, I had the occasion to do a Smart City proposal. That's the initial stage, from where the city is qualified. I had the occasion to do Smart City proposals for 4 cities. One, West Bengal, Haldia, then the capital of Mizoram, Azor, then the capital of Manipur, Imphal, and then the capital of Patna, capital city of Patna. Out of these 4 projects, 3 have qualified for the final scenario. I'll make a few comments regarding the scheme itself. You were involved in the second half of it. I did not involve myself in any second half. Nowhere. I had an offer from about 12 places. I refused. Because by that time, I had realized, very conveniently realized, what level of fraud that is being perpetuated on this country. The amount of fraud, which is not technical in nature, but primarily managerial and bureaucratic in nature. Give you a very small example. As Sanjay told about the various components, before PAN and area base had 3 types of options. That's the template. It had 3 types of area-based development programs. One was retrofitting, one was redevelopment, and third one was greenfield. Now the most interesting scenario is a management person later on put in the second stage. He put in a condition that all the 3 could be taken up for any city. But then all 3 had to be contiguous as long as the area is concerned. And that was an absolute shock to me, coming in from the Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India, the Smart City Directorate, that how can be a greenfield area and a retrofitting area be contiguous? Or even redevelopment area and a greenfield area. How can it be continuous? That means you are just quarreling, you don't have any option. You just have an option of retrofitting and redevelopment or just greenfield. You are not giving any option development. Another thing, I did a city called Adol. I don't know whether many of you have been over there. It is basically a city on a single road. There is a road which goes from down